What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch here, back with your NFL Week 15 best bets versus the spread. My favorite picks versus the spread for Week 15 of this 2021 NFL season. Last week, we went 5-1, and we were in fact just half a point away on the Cleveland Browns with a miraculous Ravens comeback from being undefeated 6-0 on the week, including our teaser of the week, which so far this season is 10-4. This week, we are looking to continue our success. What I will say and recommend to you guys off the top is to be patient. This is a week where we've seen a lot go wrong, especially in terms of the COVID business. So I would advise to not bet until the last possible second. Now, I personally have taken advantage of a couple of the spreads this week due to the news that has come out to try to get the best number. But if you have not already done that, I would advise to just wait until Sunday morning or Saturday night to place your bets, because you do not know what's going to happen and what's going to go down, and it can completely ruin your parlay or your picks or your bets. So just be easy and be patient, and that's how you'll win at this time of the year with these circumstances. So before I get started with my favorite picks versus the spread, make sure that you do spike that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more bottom line view NFL best bets just like this. Also check out my other videos, including my favorite totals of the week and my parlays this week for week 15. You can also check out all of my bets and get them all on Patreon as I give you the latest in terms of what I'm betting, especially right now with that craziness going on in the NFL. So check out Patreon, link in the description. $5 gets you all my bets every single week. Let's get started with my best bets. My first best bet for week 15 is the New England Patriots on Saturday night, +2. Now, personally, I would just look to play the Patriots money line or take them from +2 to a teaser, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But +2, for the purposes of the spread, is the pick here. I'm going to take New England, and I feel like there is this sentiment out there in the market that the Patriots, you want to be the first to sell them high, right? You want to be the first to say, I was right about the Patriots and when they were going to fall off. The problem is, too many people are picking the Colts. The same people that picked the Browns versus the Patriots. The same people that picked the Chargers versus the Patriots. The same people that picked the Bills versus the Patriots are taking the Colts versus the Patriots in a very similar situation, where the Patriots are rather a short underdog or short favorite. Now, in this case, they're underdogs, which actually makes me more confident, because the Patriots typically get up as underdogs. They thrive off of it. This is the same energy from this 2021 NFL New England Patriots team that we've seen from Patriots teams of the past. And I believe they're going to take that exact same energy into this football game. Not saying the Colts aren't a good football team. I constantly praise them. I think the Colts are a solid team. But I do think the Patriots are a legitimate contender this year. And I do believe they can go to Indianapolis, both teams off of a bye, be prepared with the right game plan under Bill Belichick, execute, and win. Because I believe they are the better team. I believe they are the more talented team. And when it comes to the matchups, I believe that they are just slightly better in those areas that will decide this game. Everybody in this game is talking about Jonathan Taylor and his ability to potentially run on the New England Patriots. Well, as a Patriots fan my entire life, I will tell you this. When Bill Belichick has a week to prepare and it's a running game, it's very unlikely that he is going to allow your best player or your running game to completely destroy his team. Now, will Jonathan Taylor have a few nice runs? May he even have a decent game? Sure. Will Jonathan Taylor win this game for the Colts? No, he won't. Ultimately, the Patriots will make their plays in the run game, and I'm confident in saying that because of the personnel that New England has. As I've said many times, New England is one of the biggest teams in football, and it's just very hard to run on a team that is as big as the New England Patriots consistently. When they want to play big football, when they want to stop your running game, it's not a matter of will they, it's more a matter of do they want to. And I believe New England will want to in this game. This is a big front seven that will not be bullied by even a very good offensive line in Indianapolis, which means that there will be opportunities for one of the better pass defenses in football to attack Carson Wentz. And Carson Wentz is a quarterback who's been pretty good and has protected the football this year, but he has yet to face, I believe, a defense of this caliber when it comes to showing a lot of different looks in zone and man coverage, being able to blitz you, being able to pressure you, being able to cover. And you look at a guy like J.C. Jackson who can take away Michael Pittman, his primary receiver, in one-on-one coverage. I think the Colts have a little bit less of an advantageous matchup than New England does offensively. So this is why New England has a more advantageous matchup, because of Mac Jones and the Patriots' quick passing attack. Little do people know that New England is actually the most efficient passing attack since week 4. They are the highest EPA passing offense in football since week 4. And since this string of victories, people have been underestimating the Patriots offense game by game, week after week. And I think this is another matchup where they're underestimating the right arm of Mac Jones and their ability to eat you up in the quick passing game. Now, New England is a running team, and we saw that on Monday Night Football, but I think their narrative has gone a little bit too far in that they don't trust Mac Jones, yada, yada, yada. They trust Mac Jones. And in fact, I'll say it this much. I believe that they'll come out and pass the ball more than they run it in this game and actually lean on Mac Jones to win this game. The Colts are not very good versus tight ends. They've actually allowed the most yards versus tight ends this season. Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith should thrive in that environment. The Patriots will be able to have a few explosive runs where the Colts have not exactly rated highly against explosive runs. They're pretty good versus the run in general, but explosive runs. And then guys like Kendrick Bourne, Nelson Aguilar, and Jacoby Myers will do their work versus very soft cover 2 zone coverages that Mac and McDaniels will have all the answers for. This is not the type of defense that typically gives the New England scheme a lot of issues. This is a team that Belichick has owned since 2009 and has not lost to since Peyton Manning was on the team. So I believe that the Patriots will win this game as underdogs on Saturday. They are the better team, and the matchup still suggests that they have the edge. My second best bet, let's move to Sunday, and I understand it's the most disgusting football game that you will ever see, you will ever watch, and I can understand avoiding this game entirely, but there's just too much value on the Houston Texans. The Texans are getting 5 points versus who, in my opinion, at least recently, is the worst team in the NFL, and that is the Jacksonville Jags. They suck. Their offense is the worst in the NFL. I don't think Darrell Bevell is necessarily going to be able to fix that as the new interim head coach without Urban Meyer. I don't understand all the points being added after Urban Meyer leaves. Sure, motivation. But let's just look at the Jacksonville roster. It sucks, guys. It's bad. And for this team to be favorites by 5 points over any football team, I would take 5 points with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Guys, this spread suggests that there is some sort of talent edge with Jacksonville over Houston in this matchup. When you look at the offenses, is there really a talent edge here? Brandon Cooks is the best receiver on either team. Period. The running game of the Texans is consistent enough, although I would say Jacksonville's run game is better. The offensive lines are both kind of crummy. They both kind of stink. But, I mean, they're fairly even. Tight ends, I think a couple sneaky options on the Houston Texans. The wide receiver depth is actually fairly solid for the Texans. And Davis Mills, whether you believe it or not, has played just as well as Trevor Lawrence, if not better as of recently. So I don't really see the edge on offense. And defensively, Houston plays fairly consistent football. They do allow you to make some plays. Obviously, they're not very good, but neither really is Jacksonville. I would say Jacksonville probably has a slight edge on defense, but I mean, 5 points? Like, are you kidding me? Houston's, I would say, better coached across the board, and Trevor Lawrence has consistently turned the ball over. The Texans demolished them in the first game. I just don't see how this game is more than a field goal, okay? And that is out of respect for the team at home. I don't understand it. So I'll take the Texans +5. If the Jacksonville Jags cover, okay. But I won't be mad about fading Jacksonville favored by 5 points. I definitely will not be angry about that. That's for sure. There's no real science to this, guys. Ultimately, I'm taking the points versus the worst team in the NFL, period. My third best bet for Week 15 is the Cincinnati Bengals +2.5. Hopefully you can get a 3, which would be ideal, over the Denver Broncos. This game is in Mile High, which might play to the spread a little bit. But I think if you asked most people, if you just went to a sports bar, bro, whatever, you're watching the game, and you asked the people in the bar, who's better, the Bengals or the Broncos? I think 70% of people would say the Bengals are a better football team. I know that's very simplistic, but think about it for a second. It doesn't really make a ton of sense that the Broncos are favored here. And the reason I'll say that is because the Broncos have beat up on a lot of bad football teams. They beat up on a lot of bad football teams. They beat up on the Detroit Lions last week, and everyone's buying back into the Denver Broncos as this team. We just saw 2 weeks ago, Teddy Bridgewater was horrific in a big spot versus the Chiefs. You're getting the immensely more talented, better quarterback in Joe Burrow here, who is a gamer. Who in a close game, who do you want, Teddy Bridgewater or Joe Burrow? If it comes down to a game-winning field goal or it comes down to a game-winning touchdown drive, who do you want? That passing attack or this passing attack? And personally, I'll take the Bengals. I'll take Joe Burrow every day of the week. Now, I am a little bit concerned about the Bengals' offensive line, but I'd be more concerned if the Broncos' pass rush was a little bit better. I mean, the Broncos' pass rush isn't exactly phenomenal, right? This isn't the 2015 Broncos pass rush. They have a solid secondary that can match up, but the Broncos play a high rate of quarters coverage as well as a little bit of man, which gives you opportunities to make plays down the field, and that is also suggested in the metrics, where the Bengals could take advantage of Jamar Chase, T. Higgins in individual one-on-one matchups down the sidelines and down the field, where Joe Burrow has been absolute money. So the chunk plays also go to the Bengals. The Bengals could be outplayed in this game, but they have a much wider margin for error in this game because of their capacity to create big plays in the run and the passing game. Defensively, the Bengals are solid. Trey Hendrickson should be okay, and there's certainly a lot of injuries on the Bengals side, but I feel like as long as they're mostly healthy for this one, their secondary is solid enough. They play the run fairly well. I believe they're inside that top 15, where I'm not super concerned for the Broncos' lone strength offensively, Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon, to just run them over. I think it will be a stalemate in that regard. Actually, the Bengals played the 49ers rushing attack pretty darn well, which is a better rushing attack than the Broncos in my personal opinion. So I feel like the Bengals are the better team. The Bengals are a hungry team. The Bengals have the better quarterback. The Bengals have more playmakers, and sure, the Broncos are at home, but I don't see that as enough of an edge here, and I'm not exactly sure that the Broncos have enough of an edge in their rushing attack to be able to dismantle this Bengals defense that's been pretty solid, especially versus average offenses. So I'll take the Bengals here in a close game. I think taking the better quarterback and the more explosive offense that can make a play in the big moment is the one to side with. So I'm going to take the points with Cincinnati in this Week 15 matchup. My fourth best bet of Week 15 is the Pittsburgh Steelers at home at Heinz Field over the Tennessee Titans in a pick'em. So you just pick the team that wins. I'm picking the Pittsburgh Steelers at home. And I'm not a fan of either one of these teams. In fact, I'd actually probably side with the Titans. But the Titans are the much more beat up team on the injury report. They don't still have Derrick Henry. They don't still have A.J. Brown. And this offense without those players has been a downright disaster. They have not been able to pass the ball with any sort of consistency. On the other hand, the Pittsburgh Steelers should be getting Joe Hayden, their number one cornerback, back, who can help contain Julio Jones. The run game of the Titans has shown flashes lately, but I don't think it's explosive enough and good enough and consistent enough to completely gash the Pittsburgh Steelers defense the way that the Vikings were able to with a guy like Dalvin Cook, who's one of the best backs in the league. So maybe the Titans find a little success on the ground, but when it comes to passing the football, the Steelers' pass rush can get to Tannehill. Tannehill gets sacked far too much. They give up far too much pressure to their quarterback to be able to make plays and to be able to pass the ball down the field versus even a suspect secondary in Pittsburgh with those pieces intact and with those pieces back, it should certainly help. I feel Pittsburgh's defense at home usually does play better. Usually the special teams in Pittsburgh favors them because it's hard to kick at Heinz Field, especially a team that doesn't exactly have confidence in their kicker. So I feel like Pittsburgh has the slight special teams edge as well as the defense versus their offense edge. And I just don't see enough weapons with Tannehill to be able to pass the ball with any sort of consistency or any explosiveness in this game versus the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. This is a must-win game for the Pittsburgh Steelers. On the other hand, the Tennessee Titans don't have as much motivation in this matchup to get the win as Pittsburgh does, especially with it being probably Ben's last year as a Steeler. They want to try to make the playoffs desperately. On the other side of the football, yeah, Pittsburgh's offense isn't super impressive. I don't expect them to run the ball that well. But I do think even if Pittsburgh falls behind, they've shown a capacity to make some plays in the passing game. And I do definitely think there are edges to be had with the Steelers' passing attack in this game. I feel like Ben is just a gamer, and in certain moments, he's going to rely on his studs on the perimeter. Deontay Johnson's super underrated. There's nobody on the Titans that can cover him. You check the injury report for the Titans secondary, they're beat up at cornerback. Chase Claypool is a dummy, but he's pretty good at football, especially at making jump ball plays. I feel like that rookie tight end, Fairmuth, is going to have another solid game, solid outing in the red zone, possibly even moving the chains on third down with some mismatch advantages inside the numbers. And then you've also got to feel that Najee Harris is going to make his fair share of plays out of the backfield. So I just like the Pittsburgh Steelers' ability to pass the ball a bit better than the Tennessee Titans' ability to pass the ball. I'm not a huge fan of either side, but the Steelers historically are very good as underdogs with Mike Tomlin, specifically at home. This is a Steelers team that I believe will come out and play very hard. And I do think after not so impressive first half versus the Vikings defensively, they'll be on really their toes. They'll be crossing their T's, dotting their I's in terms of their details defensively. And Mike Tomlin, being a defensive coach, will have those boys motivated to stuff the run of the Titans. So I think TJ Watt in the lineup, Joe Hayden in the lineup, that pass rush gets feisty. They get after Tannehill, and they pick up the win at home as underdogs, sort of. Give me the Pittsburgh Steelers as a best bet. Lastly, the teaser of the week for Week 15 is the New England Patriots from +2 to +8, and the Bengals from +2.5 to +8.5. I really like both of those teams, even if they lose, to be able to keep it within a score on the road. So give me the Pats and the Bengals over their counterparts, two teams that I feel are going to win the game outright in a teaser. I like that one a lot. So those are your best bets for Week 15. If you enjoyed, don't forget to spike that like button and subscribe for more BLV just like this. It's Mitch. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Don't forget to check out the over-unders and also the parlay picks for Week 15. Peace.